Hola, mi amigos. This is Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and I am here in Sevilla, Spain. I'm just going to let some people tune in before I get too far into anything. But I wanted to do another live Q&A while I'm out here. I need to stay as attentive as possible with the audience as I'm out here because YouTube algorithm has been killing me lately as far as not posting every 10 seconds. Apparently it stops you from reaching about 70% of people. So it's been a little bit difficult to stay on my feet. Insert name here says yo, hello. At nighttime here, as it is, it's 8 something p.m. here. At nighttime is when everyone comes out. So it just suddenly got very, very busy. Jose Guzman says, do you speak Spanish? Yo hablo poco español. Es no bueno. not very good. I know enough to get by, but not enough to live here, for example. Though it would be an interesting experience. If anything would force me to learn it better, it would be that. Honestly, like I'm not terrible with it. I'm doing really well on Duolingo as far as speaking Spanish, but it's not enough to be comfortable with it, that's for sure. Make sure to press like if you're just tuning in or if you're watching. Keeps it in the algorithm because we have 22 people out of 132,000 people watching. So obviously, that's not quite right. So anyway, send in your questions and I'll do my best to get to as many of them as possible. Sun is going down soon here, and just want to get as much done as possible. I did post earlier today, and yeah, I know everyone's at work, but everyone's always at work at some place in the world. Like our third biggest audience is in Australia. Our first and second are the United States, then Canada. But then our fourth is India, and then fifth is, I believe, Britain. So it's all over the map, obviously. And I mean, no matter when I go live, YouTube is still going to make sure I don't reach people. Again, there's 22 people out of 132,000 people watching. Now, I don't expect everyone to watch. I don't expect 10% to watch. I don't even expect 1% to watch. But what is the percentage here when you have such a low amount of people versus 132,000? Hello from Mississauga, Ontario. Good to see you. I'm trying to navigate crowds here, and now there's live music, so just give me a moment as I pass by here. Make sure to send your questions. Oh my goodness. I picked an interesting place to do this. I love this area though. It's super nice. Seville, Spain is one of the most beautiful places in Europe. It's not like a tourist trap, it's not a big tourist attraction overall. Obviously there's a lot of people here, but it's one of the top tourist attractions for people who live in Spain who want to go to a more relaxing place with great markets and all that kind of stuff. I had been here in May when I was filming my documentary, and I didn't stay long enough, so I decided to go back. Though tomorrow I am headed to Malaga, where I will be working on filming a report there. Looking forward to that. There's a lot of stuff I want to get done over there, as well as in Barcelona coming up soon. And then I will be headed to back to Paris and I'm gonna see what I can do regarding yellow vests and regarding. Well, there's a few other stories around Paris. There's a place in the middle of France I also want to get to and report on what I can there. But anyway, send in your questions. I see again, we're 5.5 minutes in and I only have 27 people out of 132,000 people. It's ridiculous. My video earlier got 72% of a lower viewership than the average because I went 2 days without posting a video. This is why, I mean, obviously there's a lot of stories to cover, but this is partially why I am forced to post every single day, nonstop. People say take a break, and it's like, that's nice to say, and I mean, I appreciate it, but in the end, it's not as much about taking a break. I don't have a choice. I'll go homeless if I take a break. So, anyway, I'm seeing no questions coming in at all. 9 likes. Make sure to press like if you're watching, please. Helps to catch on with the algorithm and actually get new viewers. And I need something to talk about, so please send in your questions. Gotta give me something here, guys. We're coming up on the cathedral of here in Sevilla, Spain. Beautiful place. I came here earlier today. Really amazing little area. It's a lot nicer now when the sun's not out. Here we go. Now I can see it. See the tower over there? They filmed a lot of Game of Thrones here. Dorn. Stop the World says, have you had a nose job? No, have you had a lobotomy or something like that? Anyway, Jose Guzman says, YouTube hides publishers. Let's see the cathedral. Yeah, I'm going to go towards the cathedral. Then there's a medieval castle in the same plaza as a cathedral. I have to keep my hair out of my face here. They don't sell the proper hair gel in Spain anywhere, so I put it in and it just wears off after a couple hours and my hair turns into craziness. People wonder, you know, the reason I even wear this stuff in the first place is because my hair just turns into like craziness, like sticks straight up if I don't put it in. Let's see. I love you people. The earth is flat, Norway. Okay. But I appreciate the compliments. Niels Bostelman says, go to Plaza Salvador. It's very close. Yeah, I think I was just there. I've just been navigating all these places lately. I was in, let's see, Milan, Verona, Venice, Florence, and Rome. Now I'm in Sevilla and I'm heading to Malaga tomorrow. Let me just try to move by this area fast because there is copyrighted music and that is how my channel gets taken down. So let me just pass by that and talk over it so you don't hear it, hopefully, too much, and YouTube doesn't decide to flag me. Okay, there we go. I think that's good enough. It's ridiculous. Stupid copyright laws. Stop the World's message was retracted because he's a coward. Anyway. Ryan Fernandez says, have you heard of Jan Irvin? If so, what's your opinion of him? I have absolutely no idea who that is. I'd have to actually look into that. Jan, if that's a woman, if that's a man, then that's like either Icelandic or Danish name or Norwegian or something like that. Basil McPherson says, saw your piece about the UK economy and the pension problem. I'm glad that someone saw it. How many people are seeing it? Pretty terrible. YouTube is just destroying me right now. But on the bright side, check this out. Not too shabby. This is a super cool looking area here. This is the where the cathedral is. You can see it up there. Hopefully it's not too pixelated. Get around the tours here and get around the foot traffic. But yeah, anyway, they filmed parts of Game of Thrones here. Back to the questions. Basil McPherson says, is it any better in Spain? In which way? Because, I mean, well, there are serious issues. There's like homelessness problems go at the max everywhere you look here these days. At the same time, everything is overblown by the media. It's the same thing as when I went to Mauritania. Everyone was saying I was going to die and get beheaded and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, it's like the nicest people I've ever met. It's all fear-mongering. And then the same can go for Europe to an extent. I stayed in a no-go zone in Paris in May. And it was absolutely fine. There wasn't an issue. I ended up really enjoying my stay. It's a good, cool area. I mean, there's lots of kebab places and yeah. But yeah, I think it's really, really overblown. And I think that it's mostly media fear-mongering. But with that said, there's a lot of problems with crime. And I think a lot of that also has to do with the desperation of people that are homeless and being pushed into poverty by the central banking system, etc. Let's see. We got Cybercam, pronounced Yan. Okay. Ryan Fernandez says he runs Logos Media. Talk a lot about the hypersuggestibility of psychedelics. That's very interesting. Sorry, had to put the cathedral in the background here. But that's interesting. I'll definitely look into that. I've been looking into a bit of that psychedelic stuff lately regarding what Graham Hancock has spoken of. I used to get into that a lot when I was younger, but I kind of let go of a lot of that over the years, just in my quest into other issues like governance or the lack thereof and the financial system. And try to focus as much as I can for a period of time on just one thing as much as possible so I can soak it up and not have anything else filter it out. Let's see. Jose Guzman mentioned that it's beautiful. Absolutely is. It's an amazing place. Melissa says, I saw it too. Not really happy news. Lol, working till you die. Yeah, well, that's what they want people to do, and they create cattle out of people. And it's interesting because that is also a lot to do with what the government, Bernays' tactic was in getting women to work and getting people to smoke cigarettes. It was all part of the same campaign. I believe it was called Torches for Liberty or something like that, which is ironic. And it was just to create more tax cattle. Truth Seeker says Joshua viewers aren't buying these shallow facades. Crypto is fiat 2.0. I haven't even mentioned crypto in the last multiple videos, but again, fiat means by force, by law. That means that the government has legal tender laws on it, and it's produced via usury on the social contract with no ability to opt in or out. So again, you are not defining it properly. Another beautiful square here. Turn this camera around because my face isn't as nice as this. There's a fountain over there. Sunset here in Seville, and here's a medieval castle. It smells like horse, you know what, everywhere because there are horses and carriages all over the place. There's some more questions here. And again, super chats really help keep us alive here. Again, I'm not running around, spending a bunch of money here. Actually, haven't spent a cent of donation money on any of this. This has been thanks to my ability to save a certain thing that I lost in a boating accident that has allowed me to cover stories, and I'm losing a ton of money, but also at the same time, unlike a lot of people, I don't have a job that I have to go back on, so there isn't the opportunity cost lost. And at the same time, there is the issue of, the fact that when I'm traveling out here, it costs less money to stay in one place than it does to move around. So very often I'm saving money by moving around and going to all these places. Here's one of the Dornish castles from Game of Thrones over here. Anyway, back to the comments. Let's see, what do you guys have to say? There's a lot of comments coming in. I can't read all of them. Gold resistance point is at $1,500, says Jeff Salcero. Possibly, I don't know. It depends how manipulated it gets, really. I mean, it comes down to something that you really cannot predict. I mean, fundamentally you can, but reality is kind of different. Doug209 says, woo. Terry Plunkett says, people are the same the world over except for the people that are ruining it, or running it. Yeah, running, synonymous anyway. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And everywhere you go, there's good people and more good people than bad. And people who also want to have some kind of beneficial, mutually beneficial situation where, you know, you can both benefit from each other, selling or trading or buying or whatever. I think that's an important point to make. Anyway, sorry, I just got distracted by something. Just I walked around a horse and started pissing. Nils Bostolman says, go to Emmy Bar. They have a terrace with the best view of Giralda. Yeah, perhaps I will. That sounds pretty good. I've been spending a lot of time around an area they call the Alameda de Hercules. It's a square, a beautiful square too, not too far from here. And it's great at night, great nightlife around here. It's probably one of the best in Europe for a place that's not a gigantic city. Though I am missing Italy a bit. But I'm a big fan of Spain, so I'm looking forward to spending some more days out here with this beautiful Spanish ancient architecture here. Let's see, what else you guys have to say? Jeff Silcero says, I didn't spend a lot of dough partying it up in Cancun, but I did buy some Mexican Libertads. What does that mean? I don't know what what that means. Mexican Libertads? Is that Mexican women? Or booze? I don't know. Look at this though. This is a cool, authentic, medieval castle wall here. This is one of the things I love about Europe, is that you could just go hang out at a castle if you want. Oh, and then across the court is one of the most beautiful cathedrals there is, and a sunset. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Let's see. Melissa says, so beautiful. 100% agree, Melissa. Doug209, the ladies are fine in Spain, apparently. Apparently. Well, I can tell you right here and now, they are most definitely fine. Let's see. JPF says, when are you going to Egypt? I want to go there as soon as possible, but I have to deal with the monetary issue, of course. As I mentioned to people, I'm raising money from donors, people that are willing to pay, for me to go to Iraq. I want to go to Lebanon. I want to go to a lot of the places that people deem dangerous. A donor is sending me to Turkey to report on a bunch of stuff. He's coming with me. I'm really appreciative of that. The guy's awesome. We've been talking for a while, since I think last January, and it's under control, and we're going in about less than a month now. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Right after I go to Anarchadelphia 2019 in Philadelphia, I'll be going there, and that'll be right after I get back from this trip. So I'm keeping busy for sure. After that, I know I have to go to the Winnipeg Crypto Conference in October, and I do have to go to Winnipeg during Christmas as well, to spend time with family. Other than that, I'm working on other things. Obviously, February is going to be Anarchapulco. Make sure to buy your tickets with promo code WHAM, as the same goes for Anarchadelphia. Promo code WHAM, you'll save money. And yeah, so I just have to book around that. JPF says, I am in Winnipeg. Great, and fellow pegger. Though I have to admit, I am enjoying hanging out here at this medieval castle compared to Winnipeg right now. There's barely any bugs out here. It's great. Winnipeg has so many bugs. It can get really beautiful in the summer, and the falls look great there, but I don't know. Living there my whole life, it feels good to get out. Jeff Silcero says, I dig this channel. Thanks, Josh. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jose Guzman says, that's what you call history and culture. I know, something that the U.S. doesn't have a whole lot of. Let's see. Cybercamp says, get over to Catalonia. I will be in before 5 days. I'm going to Barcelona. So I'll definitely be there. I'm looking forward to it. And I got some reporting to do if the Spanish police don't arrest me for it. which they might because they got really stupid laws about filming in public over there. This year is brutal with the bugs, says JPF. Yeah, but that's every year. Every year is brutal. There's less mosquitoes the last couple of years, but more of everything else. So it's like, I don't know. Robert McKenna says, why are you rushing through these places? So I don't go broke, and there's too much to see. I've been spending 3 days in every place. So 3 days, well actually 1 day in Milan, 1 day in Verona, but then 3 days in Venice, 3 days in Florence, 3 days in Rome, and 3 days in Sevilla here. And then on to Malaga after that, and on to Barcelona, and then after that I hope to go over to Paris, and then I'm thinking Amsterdam or something after that. I'm not sure, maybe Berlin, Prague, Brussels, I don't know. We haven't decided yet. I just know I have to be back in Vegas for the 7th of September, and then I got to go to Anarchadelphia right after that, and I get back and I go straight from there to Turkey. So it's moving, and I'm trying to bring people material. It sucks because YouTube's not really letting me reach people right now, and it's really hurting my ability to deliver my message. And it's like, I did an extensive video on Rome the other day, in Rome, from a whole bunch of different angles, scripted, wrote a whole script out and everything. And it's just not, I have a bad feeling I'm gonna post it like my documentary from Africa, and it's not gonna reach anybody. It's really frustrating. The harder I work on these things, the more they attack me. And yeah, the more they attack me, the more I want to work hard, but it's like desperate, and it's going to give me a heart attack one of these days, because it's just like, while I'm not here, it's usually an 18-hour-a-day job, right? And if I stop for 1 day, I see what's been happening lately. I go from, my viewership is cut down over 80% over a couple days. I'm honestly making, in monetization, probably about $5 a day on YouTube right now. So that's why your help is really appreciated. That's why super chats are so important. That's a big part of reaching out to you guys. It's 50-50. I want to reach out to you guys and talk with you and be able to connect with the audience. And then the other 50% is literally without the super chats, I cannot survive. I'm not running around here on vacation. I'm working, and I'm trying to investigate things. I've been going to museums. I had to go to the Vatican, which I had to wash my hands pretty hardcore after going there to investigate some stuff in their museum that there's very few pictures of. And oh, by the way, it's illegal to take pictures in the Sistine Chapel, but guess who took pictures? You don't tell an anarchist not to do something. Anyway, so I'm working on all this stuff, and the only thing that can really keep us alive is the super chats, because monetization isn't really a thing anymore, and they're cutting our reach so much that we don't reach anybody really. I mean, look at this. We're 23 minutes into this video, and it's 44 people watching out of 132,000 people. It's infuriating. And I mean, I confronted Bernie Sanders, and it reached like 7,000 people out of 132,000 people. How does that happen? I do a video saying I'm about to go to Africa, and it gets 100,000 views, or way earlier this year. Then I get over the top shadow banned, and I release the video of being in Africa, and it gets like 60,000 views. This is what I'm up against, where other people do a video on that same site in Africa, on good channels, I might add, but nonetheless, they do a video and they get 1 million views on that exact same site in Africa, the reshot structure, but I go there and it gets 60,000 views. I went $10,000 into debt making that documentary, had to rush, I risked my life, and it's just really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating to watch that. The harder I work, I go to a third world Al-Qaeda red zone country, and people, I had to hitchhike through Africa in one of the least visited countries in all of Africa, walk through the Sahara Desert looking for this thing. I got screwed over and over again out there over trying to get my work done. And then I just get people trolling me in the comments, and I get barely any views. It shadow bans immediately. The views went from 2,000 views per 10 minutes to 10 views an hour on that documentary in moments. The second it started catching on with the algorithm, YouTube was like, nope, and then shut it down. So that's what I mean. It's just really frustrating. That's why these live streams are so important, to be able to raise money so that we can do these reports. Because otherwise, I will end up in a city and I'll have no way to get around. I'm not running around again on vacation here. Again, it costs more money to stay in one place than to move around. I'm actually saving money by going out here to Europe. It's really cheap if you fly into Frankfurt, Germany. You end up, let's see, you pay. It's about $200 to get to Frankfurt from Las Vegas. Then everywhere else in Europe is within about $100 range or less. So anyway, on CocoScope you can accept tips, offer monthly subscriptions, and allow purchase of individual videos. Look into it, man. Yeah, I got that going on Float and on flote.app, by the way, and on Subscribestar. And I can do that on Patreon, but I'm trying not to benefit Patreon so much, so I'm trying to stick to Subscribestar, and I'm trying to stick to float.app. I'm also on Instagram, by the way. No, a lot of people don't realize I'm on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of updates about what's been happening here, World Alternative Media. I've been posting a lot of updates on what I've been up to in Europe and some of the investigations I've done, and looking into stone cutting in a lot of places. And I've been doing videos or taking pictures with like the winged ibis bird thing from Sumerian times, holding the bag that I did that report on recently that no one saw. And yeah, so I'm trying to keep people updated on there as much as possible. Facebook just doesn't let my posts get seen anymore, so I don't bother most of the time on Facebook. I mostly just try with Float and Subscribestar and Instagram, honestly, at this point. BitChute as well, but I haven't been able to post on BitChute the last 2 weeks about. Anyway, I'm waiting on some more questions here. I don't know, it just keeps skipping past all the comments, making it quite difficult to keep up. Jeff S. Salcera says, you do not need to take these risks and put yourself in potentially life-threatening situations to make money. I'm not doing it to make money. I'm doing it in order to provide truth and answers to different things around the world. It's just a fact that the harder I work, the less money I do make. That's one of the things I'm talking about. I'm not saying I'm doing it for money. I'm doing it to find the truth and be the change, like our slogan is. But then I end up losing more money the more harder I work. I make more money just sitting at home doing a bunch of videos that, in my opinion, get kind of repetitive after a while, and I don't want that. I want to provide quality content and go around the world and report on stories that people aren't reporting on, and try to dig into secrets throughout history and mankind and civilizations, the monetary system and the political systems worldwide, freedom and independence and responsibility. Those are the things that I'm most concerned with doing. It's just, again, the more I do that, the less money I tend to make, which is a really sad reality, and isn't very motivating to most people who want to do things in their life, So anyway, so again, I really encourage even $1, $2 in the super chat. That really helps keep us going. I haven't seen any come up here yet, and again, it just makes a world of difference if you do that. Make sure to press like on the video as well to keep it in the algorithm so people actually see it. Because again, there's 37 people watching out of 132,000 people that subscribe. Let's see. Evan F says, what are your thoughts on Deutsche Bank's relationship to bad U.S. debt like General Electric, who's apparently undergoing massive financial issues if not bankruptcy? Yeah, well, all these guys are dealing with bankruptcy right now. General Electric has been in a tailspin since, I think, 2001. I mean, they've just been falling all that. We've done a video on it 5 or 6 months ago, I think. Essentially, General Electric had financialized themselves and turned themselves into a financial institution, putting their products second. And that caused a serious downturn around the time of the dot-com bubble. So I think that Deutsche Bank as well, you mentioned Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank, let me just get to what your question was again, their relationship to bad U.S. debt. So Deutsche Bank has a bad relationship with all bad debt. I mean, their derivative exposure, for example, was at $75 trillion. And back in February 2016, they've fallen down to 45 or 46 trillion today. And people think that makes a big difference, but what happens when the German economy itself, which is 3.5 trillion a year, and the global economy is 75 trillion, by the way, it's crazy. What happens when all that goes down? What happens when Deutsche Bank goes down? How could anyone possibly save it? It's impossible. It's just simply not possible to even comprehend. It won't happen. They won't be able to save it. Deutsche Bank will go down, and it will be probably 5 times bigger than Lehman Brothers, and probably one of the biggest dominoes to fall in the global financial bubble. So I give it very little time. I mentioned this earlier in some of my videos, and you see this castle wall here. The world is littered with ruins of empires who thought they were eternal. And you see that happen over and over again, from governments to banks. These things become relics after a while. Lehman Brothers is just a name today. The Roman Empire fell, the Greek Empire fell, the Egyptian Empire fell via arrogance and this idea that they had strength and they thought they could control everything. They thought they could be gods. And what happens when you think you can be a god? Well, you end up falling and tumbling over like the Tower of Babel. XenaGirl29 just sent $100. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That makes a huge difference. Please have dinner on me there, you and your girl. Thank you so much. That does more than one dinner out here. It's incredibly cheap in Spain for food. I had Chinese food, and it was $20 for like 5 plates, and the portions were much bigger. So that not only helps me with 1 but 5 or so dinners. So I can't tell you how appreciative I am for that. That makes a huge difference. Those super chats, again, are what keeps this channel up and running, because we have been resorting down to as low as $5 in monetization a day on YouTube. People complain often about all the ads on the videos. Often I only put in about 10% of the ads that actually show up on these videos, and people complain because YouTube goes out of their way to put unskippable ads just randomly among it and put a ton of them in, but then they take most of the money, if not all the money, for most of it. I think it's fraud, really, but that's for other people to decide. I've been trying to figure out the best way around all of this. So anyway, with that said, I really appreciate it. Those super chats are kind of the best way at the moment around this situation. Makes a huge difference. Evan F says, God bless that super chat. I agree 100%. JPF says, do you know how old that castle wall is? I believe it's from the 1400s from last time I checked. I might be wrong. I also went to ruins the other day that I posted some pictures of on Instagram and Facebook. And the ruins had interesting stone cutting marks and a lot of Egyptian stuff among them. And they were older than most of the ruins I saw in actual Rome, which are usually 20 to 30 feet underground. And they were, I think, about 3,000 years old, the ones I saw here in Seville. Under this ground here, you'd be amazed how much there is, because this used to be Roman, it used to be Byzantium, it used to be, what else was it, an Arab empire. There's so much that used to be here. This is one of the oldest parts of Europe right here in Sevilla. Anyway. Melissa says, wow, how lovely of you, so generous. I absolutely agree. XenaGirl29 is awesome. I think it was her that a while back ago, she was trying to send super chats, and it was only letting her do $1.99 like altogether for some reason on the super chat thing. So she was stuck sending $1.99 over and over again. But yeah, that's huge. That makes a massive difference. Definitely changes my daily outcome, which I was looking at around $3 to $5, because YouTube's not showing our most recent video report to anybody. We did do a video on pensions in Britain. That's really big news, guys, if you haven't seen it already. We reported on the fact that they're planning on raising the pension age to 75 years old in Britain. That, I mean, think tanks talking about this, but it's very likely that this will actually be implemented by Boris Johnson. And again, it's not because Boris Johnson is a mean and bad man, though he probably is because he's a politician. It's the fact that they are forced into that situation now. They don't really have a choice. They are at a point where they have created such a huge financial bubble that what can they do other than raise the pension age when you have to feed people for 40 years of their life? I mean, the average age of a person born in 2007 is set to hit 103 years old. It's crazy. JPS says, when you're in Winnipeg, I will take you for lunch and donate personally. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, that's awesome. I'll be in Winnipeg at the Winnipeg Crypto Conference, by the way, in October. Winnipeg Crypto and Blockchain Conference. A lot of interesting people going to be speaking there. A lot of my friends as well. Looking forward to that. Thomas Disto says, go to Salou. It's on your way to Barcelona. I might. I'm looking at it, and it's like $30 a day to rent a car out here, and it's $70 to take a train to Barcelona from Malaga. So I'm wondering if it's financially more reasonable to do it that way, though I'm not entirely positive if it is the best way to go. But I'll find out. I kind of just go one day after another and just follow along, and one foot in front of the other, and find out where I'm going to end up by the end of the day. And hopefully everything works out fine. If it worked fine in Africa, I'm sure it'll work fine out here. Suzette Ann says, what about those migrants? They can work. Yeah, well, I think the issue is the welfare system is extraordinarily terrible. But again, if we're looking at a pension bubble like we are right now, where the global shortfall is around 400 trillion by the year 2050, that is the entire world GDP times 5, then yeah, we're going to end up with a situation where there's literally no way to get around that. 50% of people would be working for 50% of other people's wages on a monthly basis at that rate. It's impossible. It's just totally not something that can happen, that one can actually sustain. So anyway, there's a lot of distractions around here in Spain. People look nice here. I'm trying to stay with the video here. It's like everywhere I turn, I'm like, man, grew up in the wrong place. Victor G says, my family is from Montijo, near Sevilla. Oh yeah, I know that area. I think I went through it in May, as a matter of fact. Evan F, thank you so much for the $1.99. It means a lot. Seriously, $1.99. He says not much, but something. God bless and stay strong. God bless you as well, Evan. It's more than enough. I mean, $1.99 is $1.99 that I could spend on water. Again, for those wondering, I'm not running around Europe on people's dime. I haven't spent a single cent of donation money out here. I've been using a certain digital currency, but that I've saved up for a while from my Steemit days. Yeah, I mean, like, as far as that goes, I wouldn't spend donation money on a vacation. And this isn't a vacation, but it can feel like one. And it wouldn't be right of me to use money that's meant for this kind of stuff. I've just been working nonstop for a very long time, and it costs less money to move around than stay in the same place often. So what I figured was, not only would I be able to enjoy Europe, because I love Europe and I love traveling around this area of the world, but on top of that, I can see new places and report on stories around the world and bring you guys reports from the ground from places that, you know, often don't get any spotlight. I'm going to a really interesting place that's from around 10,000 BC right away. And this is cool. I'm literally at the gate of this castle here. Bang on the door, see if they let me in. But I'm going to a place that was built around 10,000 BC near Malaga in the next couple days. And I'm reporting on that. I reported on a bunch of stuff in Rome that I haven't released yet because they're very extensive reports, and some of it still needs a lot more research done, but the filming of one of them was completely done. I have to edit it together and put it together. And then there's a video I did regarding what I found at the Galileo Museum in Florence, Italy, because I found something very interesting on an ancient map that no one really has put any focus into, except for people like Leonardo da Vinci. But again, no one has put any notice into these maps. And I wanted to bring that to people in a video that I'm working on as well. I still have to string that together. And then another thing is I was at the Vatican and I found some very interesting stuff there as well. I'm also trying to report on the culture on the ground and how people react to certain things out here. And, you know, different, I guess you could say, policies, economic, political, and the likes. And I'm gonna be working on something like some stuff on those issues soon. I need to know what I'm dealing with out here. You know, like I need to be out here and see things for myself on the ground to be able to possibly examine the issues and talk about them. Because it's easy to say this is what policy shouldn't be and this is an issue, but to be on the ground, you actually see things for yourself and decide whether people are telling the truth or there's a bunch of BS going around. As for the Vatican, I also have another video on the Vatican coming up that I'm working on due to controversy surrounding the Vatican lately. You can only imagine what that's about. And I couldn't record most of it on the ground at the Vatican at risk of being killed, but I did do some stuff, and some people would consider it very inflammatory. So I was gonna wait until I'm back from Europe to post it, and possibly back from another country I'm going to soon after. So I'm being careful for my own sake so I can get around and report on as much as possible. Daryl Nugent sent £5, pounds, I think. Sorry, I can't see it. I'm having a hard time seeing it. It looks like euros, €5. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Again, that goes a long way. Especially like in Spain, everything's super cheap in Spain. It was super expensive in Italy. Everything's super cheap here in Spain. And it costs next to nothing to get a full dinner here. So it's pretty awesome. I'm saving money on food out here, that's for sure. And I'm just, honestly, while I love Italy, I was going crazy with it not only being expensive, but half the time being microwave food and half the time, well, all the time being pasta or pizza. You can only eat so much pasta and pizza. JPF says, I'm serious, man. John has my number. Give me a call and I can donate on YouTube and the government won't get any of it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's awesome. I'll be in town in October. So let's definitely meet up and grab lunch and hang out and talk. Definitely down for that. I'm amazed how late the sun goes down here. It's like, it's still up and it's like 9 something, I think. Let's see here. LOL says, visit the rest of the places before it's chaos and collapse. Well, that's the rest of the world too. But I mean, I don't really see any chaos or anything. The news only covers that which scares people, that which puts people in fear, that which makes it money. So overall, like, yeah, as far as the economy goes, certainly, and there's vast poverty and all those issues are getting worse and worse all the time. But overall, culturally, it's not actually as crazy as a lot of people would like us to think. Like going around Europe, I'm supposed to think there's just massive protests and fire bombings everywhere and all that. But then you talk to people in Morocco, for example. I was talking to a girl on a train in Morocco, a woman on the train, and she was telling me that she was afraid to go to the United States because she hears there's shootings all the time and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, there really isn't. I mean, that's what you hear about in the news. The news is going to talk about the girl who got acid thrown in her face, not the millions that didn't get it thrown in their face that day, right? So they benefit from scaring people. Anyway, Melissa says, looking forward to the Vatican video. Thank you very much. Thomas Eidsto says, come to Norway. I want to. That was going to be on my list this time, but it just didn't make the cut. I wasn't able to do it. So I'm going to have to cut that out and go hopefully next year or the year after. I do want to visit as many countries as I can in the next couple of years, but I also want to focus on a lot of the more dangerous places. Well, while I still can. Like, I want to go to Iraq and I want to go to Iran and I want to go to Afghanistan and Syria and places like that before it gets any worse than it is, because there's a lot to report on there. I don't even think Iraq is dangerous in the northern part of the country at all, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to push my luck. Let's see here. This castle is really cool. Let's see, Vatican assassins, yeah, says Robert McKenna. Gilbert Ante says, from Quebec, enjoy, take care, buddy. Good to see you, Gilbert. I bumped into someone from Quebec earlier today in a restaurant because I was using my Google Translate app to properly translate a certain menu because it had spelling mistakes in Spanish on the menu, so it made it even worse to translate. It was confusing me. This guy comes up to me and he's like, what are you using on your phone? It's like, it's Google Translate. You know, you put on the camera function and hover it over a menu and it changes it all to English. It's a pretty good thing to have. And then I just started saying, you know, talking with him a little bit in en français. So it's funny because he's got I don't know much French, but he's got the same kind of slang French that I was taught in school. You know, because public schools do such a great job of educating. Just kidding. But yeah, it's he's seeing me put a phone over the menu, and it's changing all the words, and all these people are like, "What is that? What are you doing? How does that work?" It's like Google Translate, man. When you go to a country you don't know how to speak the language in, you might want to get something where you can speak the language. But yeah, anyway, I was like, "Je m'appelle Josh, et tu? Comment ça va? Ça va bien, merci." All the BS, simpleton French that I know. Anyway, I'm ranting. Any other questions coming in? LOL says, yeah, I agree. Mainstream media is biased and overrated. Yeah, to say the least. That's why I started doing what I do today, is that not only is it overrated, but it's criminal, it's fraudulent, it's a mouthpiece for the establishment, it's making people stupid and making people weak and dependent and making people in fear, and when they're in fear, they're dependent on their masters to save them. So, and these masters are the same ones that created the problem in the first place. It's sad. It's very, very sad. Anyway, this is a cool little area. This is where they shot a lot of Game of Thrones, the city of Dorne. Got a whole bunch of horsies. Smells like, you know what? Over here, it smells terrible. Oh man. Anyway, I do think I should start heading back to where I'm staying because my girlfriend's waiting to go and hit a patio or something for an hour or so. Let's see. Melissa says poop, smiley face or laughing face. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thanks for clarifying. Poop. This is true. Anyway, there's some pirates over there. I got in a lot of trouble in Italy because I accidentally got a shot of a cop on video when I was videotaping a public square. So the cop comes up to me, and it's a military cop, by the way. He's holding a machine gun. Not saying that it has bullets in it, but he's nonetheless trying to scare people with it and make people feel intimidated. And he goes up to me and demands I give him my phone and to delete video of him in the background. And he looked over the video, and it's like, luckily he'd never heard of the recently deleted part of an iPhone in the pictures, so I got it back. But it's so ridiculous. It wasn't even worth getting back. It just did it out of rebellion. It wasn't a good video. But I'm like, fuck. So every time I had to deal with it, I was going around Italy and trying to film stuff, and there'd be cops everywhere and military police everywhere, and I'd have to like turn where I'm videotaping from and ensure that people weren't on video, or else they're going to seize my camera and delete my whole report. Anyway, that's not freedom, that's slavery, and it's stupid, and I refuse to obey by that. Speaking of a bunch of local criminals, if people wanted to know a bit about the local criminal racket around here, it's not that bad in Spain. They harass people, but it was much worse in Italy, and it's much, much worse in France. Spain is of lower, it isn't of significance as much when it comes to these issues. Overall, they don't really harass a lot of people here, from what I've seen. Though Barcelona, I've been told, is a bit different. It's an opera. Right here. Anyway, I just awkwardly at the end of her performance just walked right in front of her with my camera on. Okay, almost got hit by a car there. Try not to do that. Waiting for more questions. Anything. Evan F says the cops are like, hey, what is that white man doing with the camera? It's a spy. Yeah. Who's spying on Spain? Or Italy, for that matter. Anyway, I'm sure someone's doing it somewhere. But let's see. Nice background again. If you cut out the construction area. Thomas Idsto says, when you come to Norway, you can live in my house. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll definitely have to take you up on that. Where in Norway are you? I just found a crowd. I'm just going to walk straight into a gigantic crowd now. Okay. I'm going to try and stay to the side a bit. Anyway, on to the next question or comment. JPF says, keep up the awesome work, buddy. Can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to meet you as well. Thank you very much. Anya May says, Seville. Interesting. What is he there for? So I'm here in between places I'm reporting on. There were some Roman ruins that I wanted to check out here. But I'm here between Barcelona and Italy. So I'm going to, in Malaga, because there's a 10,000-year-old site or 12,000-year-old site in Malaga that I'm going to report on that no one has done any real videos on. So I'm going to be going out there, and then there's going to be some reports coming out of Paris and Barcelona. So this is just kind of a stop on the way because I really love Seville. Seville's a beautiful, amazing, incredible town that, while there is a lot of tourism around this one area, overall it's very culturally local, and it's a home of flamenco music and all that kind of stuff. It's just a beautiful place. Thank you so much, Samuel Mann, for the $10. He says Spain is amazing. Thank you so much, and I 100% agree. Again, those super chats make it possible for us to survive here on YouTube. So I can't thank you enough for that. It means a lot. And again, as I mentioned earlier, without those, we literally cannot function as a media because they're stopping us from being seen by anyone. It's complete shadow banning. We're down 80% since the beginning of the year, and down 70-something% on average since the beginning of the month. So yeah, it's really, really bad. So thank you so much. It means a lot. Let's see. Great job, man. Keep it up, says QQ Rack. Samuel Mann says, howdy, Josh. That was amazing. Thank you. Evan F. Beautiful. Melissa, have a great evening, Josh. Thank you very much. You as well, Melissa. Luis Carlos says, U.S. spies on the whole world. Yeah, they do. They do. But I mean, there's levels of importance, right? And I don't think Spain is at the top of the list for places to be spied on because, I mean, it's Spain. I guess there's some issues with Salvini out here, or Salvini in Italy, and I guess there's some issues. I don't know. As far as the banking crisis goes, perhaps there's a lot to be said about Spain and Italy, but for the rest of the world, remember these are empires that were once big and kind of fell into a rut over the centuries due to their own arrogance, you know. And the U.S. will go the same route. Samuel Mann says, they're good at it. People know it's happening but don't realize how bad it is. Censorship. Yeah, totally. Absolutely agree. Victor G, go to the old port. Ships departed from Seville to the Americas. There's a river that goes from Seville to the sea. Yeah, I'm staying right by the river. The river goes right through the center of the city, I think, or just a bit to the west. And yeah, it's a really cool place. And this is rather close to Africa. There's a lot of Arab influence. There's a lot of that goes back centuries, Roman influence, and it's got its own style. There's no place exactly like Seville. Seville has its own cultural heritage apart from the rest of Spain, apart from anywhere else in the world I've ever seen. And it's a home of flamenco music. And I'm by the neighborhood of Macarena. We all heard of the Macarena, you know. It's a pretty incredibly historic area. Let's see. Arthur Stolk says negative interest rate could boom their economy temporarily. Yeah, everything in a temporary fashion, I believe. It's like devaluing the currency. Like Trump keeps pushing to devalue the currency, and he wants to do quantitative easing and quantitative tightening and lower interest rates and all that kind of stuff. And now he says he doesn't want to do another tax cut because the economy is so good. It's just such nonsense. It's economic illiteracy. Orgy knows what he's doing, and he's trying to purposely destroy the economy. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I had one point just said the Fed is probably going to crash it and blame it on Trump, so people bring in a new boss to make it worse, but like a Bernie Sanders or something like that. But that's nonsense, because obviously most people don't understand money, so I think that would probably be a good way for them to get around that and perpetuate their system a bit longer. But I don't even think that's a point anymore, because Trump doesn't even make any sense. Like his economic policies make zero sense, and people keep chirping on that he's doing a great job, and it's like, what are you talking about? Employment is crashing, but he keeps saying it's good, like every other president before him, because it's hidden in the labor force participation rate. That's where the true economic numbers are. And people keep saying it's 4D chess. Well, what kind of 4D chess destroys your own country and leads to millions and millions and millions in poverty? I mean, it's so frustrating to deal with. Anyway, but it's the greatest economy in the world, he says. The dollar is the best. Yeah, tell me that in a few years. I argued with one of his economic policies and one of the head contenders for the Fed, Stephen Moore, on YouTube about a month ago. So you guys can check that out. It's up on our channel. It's just so ridiculous and so crazy. Anyway, Samuel Mann says the United States went bankrupt in 2015. It's not coming back. I actually believe they went bankrupt in 2008. And moreover, when Nixon started pushing in all the price controls and that craziness back in the 1970s. And it followed Diocletian's Roman rule almost perfectly, outside of, all the executions that Diocletian did in the Roman Empire. I think it's been that way for a while. I think it's much longer than 2015. The recession never ended. It was just papered over with debt, in my opinion. Not the. Yeah. Suzette Ann says Trump NZs. Completely agree. I was very nice and willing to speak with a lot of people, and I still am, that support him. But so many are so blind, like they were under Obama, just like cheer on anything because it's always 3D chess and there's always a reason for it, or because it's my team, not your team. It's Manchester United versus, it's that kind of nonsense. It's all team sports, and it's all bread and circuses, and it's all nonsense, and it's all going to be the downfall of the U.S. empire, like we saw with the Roman Empire, which is what a huge report and documentary style video we're working on is going to be about. I really hope people see that one. Let's see. Oh, we've got some more comments. I think I'm going to sign out right away, though. I'm getting tired, and I got a ways to walk still to get to my Airbnb. So, by the way, you can get Airbnb on Bitrefill using cryptocurrency. Same with hotels.com, gift cards and stuff. It's pretty great. There's a few other decent gift card websites as well. Definitely recommend it. I'm not getting paid by them to say this. I know it sounds like an ad. I'm just saying it's a good idea if you want to go places and you've got a couple dollars in cryptocurrency. Just a heads up on that. But anyway, I see people Macarena dancing. I see people doing flamenco dancing. I highly recommend people coming out to Sevilla if they are ever in Spain. Seville and Barcelona are truly amazing. Malaga is good too. I haven't spent a lot of time there yet, so I'm looking forward to actually spending a bit more time this time around, because I only went there for what was it? A day and a half? I almost said a week for some reason. So I never actually spent a decent amount of time there. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And there's lots to be reported on there. There's so much history around there. It's right by the Strait of Gibraltar. It's right by the ancient Pillars of Hercules. It's what used to attach Africa to Europe. And again, there's going to be a lot to report on there. I'm doing some investigating regarding as well as obelisks. I forgot to mention that earlier, because there's some strange situation where I keep seeing Egyptian obelisks everywhere I go, and Egyptian influence. And I saw that at the Vatican. I'm seeing that everywhere. And Egyptian stone, and Egyptian glass, and Egyptian crystal, and Egyptian, all this stuff. And I've been thinking about it for a while, like that's a real thing. The Romans were obsessed, the Renaissance people are obsessed. Washington, D.C. is obsessed with Egypt. But there's a lot to be reported on there, so I'm doing some research into this to bring you guys the best information on why this symbolism is so connected and why people are obsessed over rocks from Egypt and the columns, the massive columns of the Pantheon where I reported live from the other day, made out of Egyptian stone, quarried in Egypt, and it's all one gigantic pillar, and it's 2,000 years old and still standing. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and it just seems like the building was built in medieval times when you're there, but it's 2,000 years old. Crazy. I am now heading down alleyways. You can see here, this is an interesting part about Seville, is that you end up with these tiny little alleyways. I kind of love it. I wonder if my internet's going to work down here, though. We shall find out. Anyway, my phone is running low on battery because these days my iPhone, which was built to be destroyed after a short amount of time, is getting to a point where I start the video at 97% and it falls down to like 5% in an hour. So I don't know where I am. But I'm sure it won't be an issue, though. As my friend Anna Pashenta pointed out before I first went to Sevilla earlier this year, the streets of Seville are designed like a drunk 3-year-old drew it with crayon, and they're like, okay, let's build those roads. It's so crazy. I actually literally don't know where I am. This is the worst situation to be in out here. It's actually pretty awesome. But I do want to find my girlfriend and work on grabbing a quick drink before I plan my expedition tomorrow. But seriously, where did I go? I thought I just went back the same way I came from. No idea. This is me way too often. Oh man. Anyway, that's weird. I can't help but notice that another alleyway. I can't help but notice that the super chat money went from 162 Canadian dollars to 156 Canadian dollars in the last couple of minutes. Did YouTube just like delete one of the super chats? It's really strange. Anyway, up here enjoying watching me get completely lost down alleyways here. Like I thought I went back the way I just came from. Yeah, if you get lost around here and you don't have Google Maps, good luck. I mean, it's not, again, you'll probably find yourself in a flamenco bar with dancers. That's not the worst thing, but still, it'll take you until 4 a.m. to get back to your place. Anyways, I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Great to talk with everyone and connect with everyone. Thank you so much for the super chats. That means a lot to me. Make sure to press like if you haven't already. So once the video is posted, other people will actually see my weird, strange adventures tonight. And yeah, where am I? I don't know. Another alleyway, another alleyway, another alleyway. Okay then, good to know. Anyway, I am running out of battery here. So this is where I shall bid you all adieu. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.